All right, we are back on the Andre Duke Show with Carter Smith and Richie today. We are live from Sigaro Cigar Bar in Hubbard, Ohio. How is everybody doing today?
I'm doing great. It's Championship Saturday. Looking forward to all the matchups today.
Yeah, dude, I'm doing great. It's a great day, man. We got championship football going on. I just saw Pat McAfee throw the horns down at everybody. Picking Georgia to win. We got big games all day out here, like Duke said, at Sigaro Lounge in Hubbard, Ohio. I mean, this place is awesome, man. Like,
I'm impressed with the stuff that they got here.
Yeah, it's really cool. They got a great setup. So if you're in the area, stop by, come on out, have a cigar. He hooked me up with a little bottle of this. I don't know if you can really see it, but Heaven Hill bottled in bond. Got a little bourbon going. I mean, we're having ourselves a little Saturday here, boys. And shout out, I did want to say there's a cool painting right behind us. You can't really see it on the camera, but then we have this as a I guess you call it a sculpture or something, statue. It's the Mount Rushmore of Ohio State football. Local artist, his name's George Paceris. I believe he's down in the Columbus area, but it's George Paceris, pacerisart.com. Go check him out. I mean, he does some great work. That's really cool, man. You got Woody on there. You got, who else? You got Trestle, Urban, and then is that Archie?
That's Archie.
Archie. He's missing one coach, though.
I agree.
I might be a little partial, though. But no, definitely come on out. Go check out his art. Again, Paceris Art on Instagram, pacerisart.com. Really cool stuff. He does great Buckeye work and just great work altogether. So give him a follow. Go check him out. But, boys, we had some fun last night. There was some good football going on last night. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. Ashton Jeanty won the Heisman last night.
He won the Heisman. He's got my vote.
I tell you what, and the sad thing is, I don't know what the percentages are going to be this year, but most of the time, the votes get turned in before Championship Saturday, and that's criminal because Ashton Jeanty went out last night and put on an absolute show, and he showed you why he's the best running back in college football and why he should win the Heisman. And you know what? You know what the Oregon Ducks said about Travis Hunter, right? What'd he say?
He said snaps are not stats.
Exactly. Snaps are not stats. So I don't care that you take 150 snaps a game. That doesn't equal stats, buddy.
We'll have to see how this turns out. I feel like it's going to be maybe one of the closest Heisman races ever. I feel like there's going to be whoever wins it, it's not going to be enough. There's going to be somebody upset. So we'll just have to see how this thing pans out. I feel like they should do the Heisman after the playoffs now because we have an extended playoff.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that because they're going to be putting on more stats and those performances in the playoffs. You never know who's going to come out. Travis Hunter, if they get in the playoffs, they probably won't get in the playoffs.
They're not.
But Boise, they are, and who knows how Jeanty will perform in the playoff.
Right.
He could go on a spectacular run.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I do think it's interesting though that Deion Sanders has pretty much already given Travis Hunter the Heisman. He said the Heisman Trophy winner is not going to be in the playoffs. Tell me how Colorado's not a top 12 team. I know we talked about it earlier this week, but you're not a top 12 team because you lost 3 games to pretty bad teams. And that is more of a reason why Ashton Jeanty should be the Heisman Trophy winner, right? I mean, he has his team at 12-1 now, Mountain West champions. Their only loss is a 3-point loss to the number 1 team in the country. And he's putting up numbers that we haven't seen since Derrick Henry.
Well, he's closing in close. If Boise can make some noise in the playoff, he's going to break Barry Sanders' record for, I believe, rushing yards in a season. I get it. He's had more games, but as things change, some things don't stay the same. So I feel like we're closing in on this new era of college football. Just going into it for this championship weekend and getting into the games as we look forward. We got some games kicking off right now. The MAC championship has is kicked off between Ohio, Miami of Ohio, Arizona State, and
Iowa State.
Iowa State
Yeah.
are kicking off.
Yeah.
So I think that you got to embrace the new landscape of college football, and we've talked about it all week. The committee is definitely on board with come on SMU, come on SMU.
Yeah. And we'll get into that here in a minute. But finishing out the games last night, there is one team that just won a conference championship and is 11-1 and is going to get absolutely no love for the college football playoff. And that's your Army Black Knights. I'm sorry. I mean,
that's criminal, in my opinion.
I agree. They're 1 loss to the number 4 team in the country. It's not. How is that different than what Boise State did?
Exactly.
And it's just because they're Army. They play a different style of football.
Yeah. That flex bone offense. It's nothing flashy. It's just straight up old school ground and pound. And
I think
I think it's criminal. I think they should at least. They should give it a shot.
Yeah, and I don't know what you guys think about this. What if instead of just giving a group of 5 team an auto bid, what if all the group of 5s you had a play-in game like you do in college basketball, where if you're like the 16 seed that was going to be left out, you get a game to play in, and then you can get into the tournament? What if you had Army Boise State next the week? Well, I guess Army plays Navy, and then it's the playoffs, so you couldn't do that. But what if next weekend, if it wasn't Army Navy? What if Army played Boise State, winner gets that into the actual playoffs? What do you think about that?
I think that's a great idea, Carter. I mean, why not? An extra game to show off how talented you are, see how well you can stack up in the playoffs, against the other teams. Why not?
Yeah.
Extra football, dude.
Well, we've had conversations about this, and my feeling on the group of 5 thing. I get it. Army is a good story. But I'm just not in on the group of 5 thing in the playoffs. I think we're playing 2 different styles of football here, and I think that it'll come through.
Well, yeah, and the thing is, I guess what I'm saying is, I agree, and I think everybody. I mean, Boise State's going to get a bye, so they're getting to the second round automatically.
Yeah.
But if they didn't get a bye, I think everybody would pick whoever they played to beat them in the first round, right?
Yeah.
And the same with Army. So if you're going to put one of those teams in anyways, why not have them play each other, play another meaningful game against it? Because I honestly, I think Army could beat Boise State.
Yeah. It would be a very interesting game. That's for sure, because they're both one-dimensional teams. But, I just don't think that the group of 5 needs to be trotted out there against, a Penn State or Alabama or SMU. We know the result of that. We've seen the Cincinnati thing. I'm not for the group of 5 thing. I think it's kind of, they're doing it so they don't get sued. I mean, that's fine.
Well, for sure, yeah, antitrust laws.
But I just feel like we're going to, you're leading a lamb to slaughter to a certain extent.
Until that one team makes a run.
And shocks the world.
I'll give you this. These aren't Chris Peterson Boise State teams. They're not.
Chris Peterson might have something to say about that.
I'm just saying that
Kellen Moore? Are you talking trash about Kellen Moore right now?
Jonathan Brands?
The Statue of Liberty?
I'm just saying that these Boise teams are not. This Boise team is not that team at all.
Are you saying they're worse or better?
Worse.
Oh, okay. All right, fair enough. But so that was the action last night. Also, I think Jacksonville State won 100-0 against Western Kentucky. It wasn't close. Sorry, Dad, if you're listening. I know that messed up your parlay, but
Oh, I can't believe we picked against Jack State.
Well, here's the thing. He looked at because they played in the regular season, Western Kentucky and Jacksonville State. And Jacksonville, I think Western Kentucky won in the regular season. He was like, oh, they already beat them. They can beat them again. So he plays the bet. And then he looks at it, he goes, Oh, Jesus, they were getting dominated the whole game. They won on a Hail Mary. I was like, well, that's why you got to do a little more research, Dad. But anyways, so obviously, big Saturday here for everybody in college football. A lot going on. Like Duke said, we got Ohio and the Miami Red Hawks. I don't care what they call themselves now. They are the Red Hawks. They are taking on the Ohio Bobcats. Shout out my sister Kylie, alma mater, OU, oh yeah. And then the big one that's going on right now, which is another school that one of my family members went to, Arizona State and Iowa State.
Forks up, baby.
Forks up. I disagree. Let's go Cyclones.
Oh, I'm going Arizona State. Man.
Now, Duke, tiebreaker.
You know, you could go forks up here, but I think that
What are you, Joe Biden right now? You could go forks up, or you could go Cyclones. I don't know.
you could go forks up, but I think it's the Cyclones. I think it is Matt Campbell's time.
Stark County native.
Yeah, Stark County.
We're in
Raise
his neck
up.
of the woods.
Yeah.
So why not?
Why not?
Why
And,
not?
and you know, Matt Campbell, I'm going to try to get this stat right. Matt Campbell is the first coach in Iowa State history since another legendary Iowa State coach to take them to, I think it's 3 bowl games in a row or something like that. And Duke, can you name who that other Iowa State coach was?
Oh, that would be Earl Bruce.
Yeah, if it's a trivia question about coaching for me, it's probably Earl Bruce. But yeah, so I think Iowa State's got this, and I'm not just saying that. I think if you look at it, Arizona State, obviously they got Scataboo or Scatabo or Skater Bro, whatever his name is. He's phenomenal. But at the end of the day, I think Iowa State. I think Matt Campbell. I love what Kenny Dillingham's doing at Arizona State, though. Don't get me wrong. But I think Iowa State pulls that one out, and that's going to be the least shakeup to the college football playoff of all these games, because this is essentially what Boise State UNLV was last night, right? Win and you're in.
Yep.
Right? That's all you got to do. Like, if UNLV beat Boise, it didn't matter what else happened. UNLV was going to be in over Army.
Yeah.
And obviously Boise wins, they get a bye. Now Iowa State, Arizona State, one of them has to get in as the champion. The other one's obviously out. So I think you're going to see both teams playing very hard. They're going to be looking to obviously stamp their playoff ticket. But at the end of the day, I think Arizona State is probably, in all likelihood, a little bit better.
It depends on which Iowa State team shows up.
Yeah.
You know, if they play very gap sound defense and they fit the run really well, I don't see how they can hang with Iowa State if Iowa State can put up efficient offense. The big thing that Iowa State needs to do, you can let them drive, 70 yards down the field, but you got to hold them. You got to hold them to 3.
Yeah, and so that's what they did on the first drive. So Arizona State's up 3-0 right now. So they let them get down there, but they didn't let them score touchdowns, which I think you bring up a good point. That's going to be the difference in the games. The team that can score touchdowns in the red zone is the team that's going to win. And I'm rooting for Iowa State. That's all I'm saying.
Look at how many passing touchdowns Arizona State has in the red zone. If Iowa State can keep them off the ground in the red zone, they have a chance, but they have to get 7 every time down the field.
Yeah.
That is the big key to that game.
Skater Bro has 2 carries for 31 yards already. I mean, he might have himself a day.
Hitting the run.
Yeah. So, but in other stuff we got going on, I forgot to show this yesterday. I know we got one Squealer fan here, so I'll put it up. I don't know about you guys, but I fucking hate George Pickens. I think he's
a turd burglar.
Absolute trash. But you know who the Squealers play this week, right?
We play the Frowns again.
The Browns. How'd that go last time?
Well,
The Cleveland Crab King showed out.
Yeah.
well,
We got our boy Jameis out there, famous Jameis out there. He can see now. He's got LASIK.
Where was that in Tampa? That's why I wanted
Yeah, well, he didn't have
I
that.
know, he didn't have it. He just threw it. And Mike Evans just was somewhere.
Yeah, Mike Evans down there somewhere.
Just think of it this way for the Browns, again, though, whenever they break the huddle for the, to go into the offseason, it'll be 1, 2, 3, Cancun.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine.
That's fair.
I'm cool as long as we beat the Steelers twice. But George Pickens obviously has a little bit of a beef brewing with one of the Browns players, a Mr. Greg Newsome the third or second. I forget which one, but I think it's the third. But he was asked about it because I don't know if you remember, but on the last play of the game last time they came out, George Pickens got absolutely destroyed. And he grabbed Newsome by the head and tried to fight him because that's just what this guy does. And here's his comments on Greg Newsome. So let me get it brought up here.
Last one, guys.
Greg Newsome, you think we'll talk to Greg Newsome at all today before the game? I mean, or anything?
I don't even know who that is.
All right, thanks, guys.
So we couldn't hear it. Hopefully you guys could at home. But he was asked about, Greg Newsome, and he said, I don't even know who that is.
What a clown.
Bro,
What a
shut
clown.
the fuck up. You're in his mentions. You're tweeting at him. You know exactly who that is. Don't give me that bullshit. God, I hate George Pickens.
He's such a...
Well, we'll see how it pans out.
So, no, I do have a question, though, about George Pickens as a Steelers fan. I'm being serious now. I'm not just bullshitting anymore. Are you worried at all about what he's going to cost your team? Because eventually all of this is going to come to a head, right? You guys are going to be in a game, a playoff game, a game to secure a higher seed, something like that. And these antics that he has, I mean, he's consistently getting personal fouls every game and getting in fights every game. Eventually, that's going to impact your team's ability, right?
Until it does, I think Tomlin will let it go. But, a lot of it has to come back with the position coach. And I don't know if you know who the Steelers wide receiver coach is, his name. He was at Florida for a little bit.
Oh, shit. Who is it?
Zach Azaria.
Oh, God, dude. Let me tell you. I'll tell you a story about him in a minute, but go ahead.
But as you can see, you know how he obviously did not work out with Urban.
No, so he's a clown.
I think that at some point it's going to come to a head, and I wouldn't be shocked if the Steelers have a new wide receiver coach going into next year if we cannot keep George Pickens under control. But
as a Browns fan, give that man a lifetime contract because your receivers are going to be garbage. But so do you have you heard this story? Zach, I don't know if Zach's ever told it on air, and I don't know if I'm supposed to or not, but I'm going to do it. But so Zach Azario obviously got the wide receivers coach job at Florida after Billy Gonzalez left for LSU, right? Funny story about Billy Gonzalez leaving. He left in the middle of the night, didn't even write a note. And he texted Zach, my brother, and was like, hey, I took the LSU job. And my brother's like, okay. And he goes, just wanted to let you know. And he's like, well, does Urban know? And he goes, nope. But so he left in the middle of the night. And my brother's a GA at the time. He's about to be finishing up his last year as a GA, looking for a full-time position as a position coach. And he talks to Urban, and Urban's like, hey, Florida's not where you get your first full-time job. I'm sorry. Like, I think you're a good coach, but and this is, shout out to Ohio State and Ryan Day. You could learn something right here. Ohio State and Florida, that's not where you cut your teeth as a coach. And that's what Urban told my brother. He told him, go get a job. After you cut your teeth, I'll hire you. And that's exactly what he did. Obviously, he came to Ohio State, hired him. But so in the meantime, he hired Zach Azario as the wide receivers coach at University of Florida. And my brother was still there. And Zach Azario shows up, and he's going through it. My brother is the offensive GA at the time. And Zach Azario goes to the equipment team. And he goes, hey, I need you guys to order me, let's say, a dozen khaki Florida hats. And they're like, what khaki Florida hat? What are you talking about? And he goes, you know how Urban wears the white zip up every game? My thing is going to be the khaki hat.
Okay.
What a dork.
Right? Like,
What? Khaki?
like Jim
What are we,
Tressel
like-
has the sweater
What are we,
vest.
Like a 40-year-old man? Like, you're going to order a khaki hat? Is it a dad hat too?
No, it's just a baseball cap. And he wanted to find it. He thought that was what it meant to be a good
that's
coach.
his calling card. Okay.
Yeah.
Hats off,
If
you got
you're-
a khaki hat, bro.
If you're a good coach, you have a signature thing, right? Jim Tressel had the sweater vest. Urban Meyer had the white zip up, kind of like what I got on right now. And Zach Azario was going to be the khaki hatted man.
How'd that work out?
Well, he's currently the wide receivers coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, I thought you were going to tell a different story that I had heard.
Do
But
tell.
no, I'm not telling that story.
I probably know it, but
As soon as the camera's off, I will.
yeah. Oh, typical Duke, man. He doesn't put
Yeah,
anything out over there. It's got to be all
Hey,
behind the
it's-
scenes
it's-
with this guy.
It's really not. It's really not
Iowa
my
State
story.
scored.
It's really not.
Your story to tell.
Not my story to
Yeah.
tell.
All right. Anyways, so that was just some fun memory lane stuff there. But George Pickens, douchebag. So moving on, we got
Elite talent.
elite talent. Just probably not the best guy. He went to Georgia. How many DUIs does he have? Do you think?
How many speeding tickets?
Yeah.
We're not
Anyways,
here. We're not here to discuss everyone's driving record.
Oh yeah,
I'm just-
please don't.
So let's on to the next topic.
Yeah. So anyways, we got a bunch of. Oh damn! I just ashed all over my
Here
computer.
we go.
There we go.
Yeah, this is,
Hey, why
this
don't
is
you
what
lay off
happened.
the bourbon there, pal? Remember my first bourbon?
Anyways,
Welcome to Amateur Hour.
so we got a bunch of games going on tonight, obviously, and later today. The SEC championship is one that everybody is talking about. You have the Texas Longhorns taking on the Georgia Bulldogs. Obviously, we saw how this played out earlier in the year. Georgia winning by 15. That was in Texas. Yep. And but there's a lot of belief now that Texas is going to right the ship and solidify their claim to be the number one seed. Duke, how do you feel about it to start us off?
Well, when it comes to Texas, you look at Texas and what they've been all year. Played a little bit weaker schedule. The team that they played of significance was Texas A&M. But there was somebody that came into that game and gave them a spark off the bench. And if Texas comes out flat today, you know who we're going to see? We're
not.
Arch Manning.
No,
if Arch
we're
Manning
not.
comes into the game, I believe Texas has a quarterback problem. I believe the team is splintered. Some guys want Quinn. Some guys want Arch. I think that when you got two, you ain't got one. I am rolling the Georgia Bulldogs. Give me Carson Beck. Hopefully he doesn't turn into Carson Beck of weeks 1 through 6.
Weeks 1 through the entire year, you mean?
Texas does not have the benefit of the doubt of the water bottle throwing going on to sway the crowd.
To sway the refs.
It's essentially a home game, too, for Georgia. Am I right?
Yeah, it's in Atlanta.
And so, you got the dogs. It is.
You got the Cats.
Well, you don't have Bevo. I'm sure there's some Texas people.
What is that about?
What is that?
There's
Why
sideline
why?
constraints.
Shut up.
Sideline constraints.
What? Why can Uga be on the field then?
Because Uga's not a 5,000-pound bull. He is a bulldog that merely weighs 40 pounds.
What if Bevo would be allowed to be out there?
I think Bevo would fuck Uga up.
And Uga just took a chunk out.
We've already seen
Yeah.
this story.
And Bevo was going to kill that fucking dog.
I don't think that we don't need animal violence on the sideline.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm putting 500 down on Uga right now.
We don't need
Take out Bevo.
I'm not advocating for dog fighting or anything like that, but I think bull dog fights, not a bad idea.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
Anyways.
Definitely not. Go dogs. Give me
Go
the dogs.
All right. Richie, what do you think?
I think I'm going to go with Texas. It's going to be hard to beat the same team twice in one seat in 1 year. I think Texas, they're going to learn from their mistakes from last game. Ewers is going to show out today. That's what I'm going with.
Okay. All right.
That's short and sweet.
Yeah, keep it to the point. I will say this. I think Duke, Arch Manning has about a negative 1,000% chance of playing. Not playing, because he'll play in his little fucking Wildcat package that they put out there. He'll be the Devin Brown of Texas and go run the ball. But Quinn Ewers is not getting benched. There is no quarterback controversy in Texas. That's just not happening. It is Quinn Ewers' job. Quinn Ewers is going to lead them to the playoffs. Quinn Ewers is going to play this game and probably throw 1 or 2 interceptions. But I think he's going to play, other than 1 or 2 mistakes, a pretty clean game. And the really this comes down to, can Carson Beck put his dick away for a minute and focus on football?
And not want to get ran over by a car.
Yeah. Well, if he loses this game, he might get ran over by a car. But no, I mean, seriously, if he can put it down, if he can put Snapchat away for a minute, and he can go out there and focus on college football and focus on what made him a good quarterback in the first place, because he was a good quarterback. I mean, last year, he was a good quarterback. He was going to come into this year and fight for a potential number 1 overall pick. And now this year, he's come out and he's shit the bed. I don't know if it's because he's dating a Cavender twin. I don't know.
You know, they say that does, that kind of blinds you.
Well, and here's the thing. Is it that he's not getting laid enough or that he's getting laid too much? I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to compare the stats on when the Cavender twin is at the game versus when she's not at the game to see if he plays better or worse.
We'll have to dig deep.
Yeah, that's a deep dive that I'll do at some point. But I think at the end of the day, it's going to be, what's that coming down the track? It's a mean machine in red and black. Give me the dogs. Dogs, baby. Give me the dogs. We're going to get us a little Georgia dub. And that's going to throw everything into disarray for the playoffs, which leads us into the 2 night games. And these games are going to be, I think, the most I think Texas Georgia is going to be entertaining, but I'm really excited for the night games. You got Oregon Penn State kicking off at 8 p.m. and then SMU Clemson. And I don't think people are really paying that much attention to SMU Clemson, but I think that has the chance to be the most important game of the day.
Yeah, I agree to that. When it comes down to this, I think it's going to be Clemson's ability to gain first downs and score touchdowns, and Klubnik is going to be the key to this game.
Hot take.
I think that if Klubnik can come out and play well, Clemson has a fighting chance. The thing that Clemson has that I think that SMU is going to struggle with is going to be up front in the trenches.
Mm-hmm.
I think Clemson has one of the top 10 defenses as far as being up front. SMU is going to be virtually one-dimensional. If SMU can run the ball, Clemson's in trouble. But if Clemson, again, can hold SMU to field goals and score touchdowns, Clemson has a shot at this. I don't know if they're going to completely blow them out of the water, but if Clemson comes out lethargic on offense, it's not going to be a pretty day.
Rich?
I'm gonna go with Clemson. They've had the experience. Dabo's has coached in those conference championship games many times. I think that's where they're going to separate themselves from SMU, because SMU, they're in the new kid in town. Yes, they are in the title game tonight, but I think that experience with Clemson and getting those guys prepared to play in the conference championship game, to look forward to the playoffs, give me the Tigers.
Okay. Richie, I feel like you're our AJ Hawk. You're just a man of few words. You're on here, but you don't say a lot sometimes. You keep it short and sweet. I like it. You're to the point. But I don't disagree. I think Clemson's experience is going to play a huge factor. And Dabo has been here, done that, right? And SMU has not. And I think the fact that Clemson is playing for their playoff life, right? If they lose, they're out.
Yeah.
SMU, I think if they lose, they might still get in. So, we got some thoughts on that over there, huh?
Duke, what do you got?
No?
No?
It's going to be the Tide that gets in. That's the way this has been set up.
Blitz, Bama, blitz, baby.
So if they do that, how do they do that?
Yeah, how does that happen?
Because they're going to use the strength of schedule and resume against SMU.
Then why is Alabama not ranked ahead of SMU already?
Because that's the way they set it up. It's for the drama. This is made for TV. They give the last spot to the Big 12 team, and they leave Alabama right where they're at.
Yeah, but I mean, if based off of what the committee's already told us, SMU is the 8th best team in the country. They're better than Alabama.
But not if they lose to Clemson.
Why? I was told that the conference championships can't hurt you.
Yeah.
Well, if ifs or buts were candy and nuts, my friend.
I swear to God, like, and this is where I'm at. And I'm gonna shout them out. I'm with Chris Drew on this. If they put Alabama over SMU, that is bad for the sport. That is bad for the sport of college football. That is bad for a precedent that you're setting. And you may as well just come out and say this is an invitational. This isn't earn your way in. This isn't who the best teams go. I agree Alabama's a better football team than SMU. I think everybody up here agrees with that. But if you're a better football team, don't lose to fucking Oklahoma by 20 points.
Yeah, score a touchdown.
That is the circumstance that the committee has been put in. But I'm going to tell you who was the least watched ACC team this year.
I don't fucking SMU probably. I'm guessing.
Ding, ding, ding. You are the big winner, Carter.
Who is the most watched ACC team? And they're not really in the ACC.
Well, Notre Dame.
Yeah. Who is second?
Georgia Tech.
Yeah, buddy. The Rambling Wreck.
So, with all of that being said, this is a made-for-TV event.
Okay, but it shouldn't be, right? We're trying to get the most competitive, the best of the best. Like, fuck your TV. Everybody's going to watch anyways.
Well,
It's the playoffs. Everybody's watching.
a big portion of your TV viewership is around the state of Alabama. And
Fuck that. Texas is bigger.
if they're
Get out of here, that bullshit.
I'm just telling you, SMU was the least watched ACC team. this
Well,
year.
that's because the NCAA fucked them over and gave them the death penalty.
I think that something that happened almost 40 years ago has nothing to do with what we're talking
Was it
about
40 years
now.
ago?
Yeah, it was.
Jesus.
I wasn't even alive.
But all things being real, I think it will create a buzz around SMU if they end up getting left out. But they did also raise $150 million coming into this season, so SMU is building.
They're on the up and up.
It's a slow build, but they are getting
It's
there.
a slow burn.
But I like what you did there. You parlayed
I love
joke.
parlays.
But where we're heading, they can't leave Alabama out because of the. I know you don't want to hear this, but there is no.
That's targeting.
Yeah,
Sorry.
There's no other league that a middle of the pack team can beat a team in the top echelon. It doesn't happen in other leagues, except in the SEC. I know.
So are you just saying that it just means more?
I'm not saying that it just means more. I'm just saying that the teams in the SEC that are in the middle of the pack, I think Florida, if they're in the Big Ten, if they don't play Ohio State and Oregon, they could go 10-2.
If they don't play Ohio State and Oregon, fuck, I'd hope so.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I think fucking Penn State, if they're in the SEC and don't play Alabama and Georgia, could go 10-2.
I don't agree with that.
What?
No.
Oh my god.
I think
Our resident SEC homer, everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus.
I don't agree with that.
You don't think that Penn State, who, by the way, is in the Big Ten Conference Championship game tonight, could go into the SEC, not play Alabama and Georgia, and win 10 games? You don't think they could do that?
No, because I don't think they're better than Texas.
That's one of their losses. There you go. That's one of two.
I don't think they're better than A&M.
Stop.
I don't think so.
So is Penn State better than Notre Dame?
No.
All right, good answer. I mean, I think I'm going to stop you there. I wish I had the big cap so I could make you put it on because that's cap, bro. Penn State would go 10-2 in the SEC, even if they played Bama.
You think if they would be on the road at Tuscaloosa, they're gonna win away?
No, they'd probably lose that one. But if they're on the road at fucking Vanderbilt, guess what they wouldn't do? Lose. Guess who did?
Bama.
Thank you.
But the only time of this
Nothing but the
reaching,
Tide.
the only time a middle of the pack team that has reached out and bit one of the upper echelon teams in the Big Ten was this past weekend when Ohio State and Michigan. So I think there's your level of.
Well, that's
clarity.
a little different. You know that
But-
game's different.
But, I mean, I get it. The game's different, but that's the only middle of the road team that's beat an upper echelon team in the league.
Fucking talk to Urban Meyer. He would disagree. Purdue, Iowa, they both got them.
Yeah, by 30.
But that's not this year with the 12-team playoff.
No, it's not this year. But I'm just saying, and this is where I get a little annoyed with this SEC bullshit. I get it. I agree SEC top to bottom is the best conference in college football. I'm not stupid. But at the same time, miss me with this, our middle of the road teams are so much better than yours. No, maybe your top end teams aren't as good as you think they are. Because I saw Georgia I saw Georgia lose to Georgia Tech. I don't care what the outcome says. And guess what? Notre Dame put an ass whooping on that Georgia Tech team.
I think I'm going to use your Ohio State Michigan. I mean, that game means more. It's a rivalry game, end of the year.
All right, fair.
Hey, Georgia almost blew it against Kentucky.
Circled on the calendar, but Kentucky also went into the Grove this year and won. I'm just saying.
Is that not more of an indictment on Ole Miss than it is on Kentucky?
But Ole Miss also beat Georgia handedly.
Again, indictment on Georgia.
But also, since we've been doing this playoff thing, look at the conference records. And if you take the Michigan wins away,
Which they will be taken away.
Do you know what the Big Ten's record in the college football playoff is?
Well, let's see. Ohio State won 2 the first year. Ohio State beat Clemson once, so there's 3 wins. Probably 3-6.
3-7.
I was fucking close.
Do you know what the SEC's record is in the college football playoff?
I don't give a fuck.
No, it's 16-6. So I think that we have some data on the playoff games here, and if you take the records away, if you take SEC playing SEC, I believe the record is 12-4. So that's almost double the wins against other conference teams. So I think that, when it comes into this, we have to look at it as a full scope of things, because we can sit here and rehash the Indiana thing, and there's not enough time.
Well, there's plenty of time. We got all day.
There's not enough time to rehash that, but I'm just saying you can't pick Indiana up and say they're a top 5 team and say they're good when it's convenient. It's moving the goalposts. Like I've said for the last 8 weeks about Florida, we're doing this again.
Okay. Anyway. Yeah. I mean, Iowa's a good team. I don't care what you say.
Florida kills Iowa.
Florida kills Iowa.
Yes, it's not even close.
Kills Iowa?
Yes.
I mean,
Iowa cannot score.
I don't know where Iowa came from. I was talking about Indiana. But okay, I don't disagree. I think Florida does beat Iowa. I think Indiana beats Florida, though.
Not in the swamp.
The swamp ain't what it used to be, all right?
I don't know that when they played LSU.
Well, they get up for LSU, all right? That one means more. But no, I get what you're saying. However, when Indiana beats Georgia in the first round of the playoffs, I'm going to need you to apologize on this podcast, okay? But we talked a little SMU Clemson. Yeah, exactly, G. Fighting hard for the SEC like he's fucking Paul Feinbaum over here.
We got the Midwest Paul Feinbaum.
We got fucking Midwest Paul Feinbaum over here. He's got ears like him too.
I'm way better. I'm way better.
Catch AM
looking
Brady
than-
with those things.
I'm way better looking than Feinbaum.
It's not saying much, I gotta tell you. But we got Oregon, Penn State, the nightcap of all nightcaps. And the graphic, I don't know if you guys saw, but the graphic is about Penn State because tonight starts their ascension into the next tier of college football. I think let me start over. I'll withhold mine, but Oregon, Penn State, obviously everybody thinks Oregon's going to win this game, right? I think that's the general consensus. I watched game day. They all picked Oregon. Even Timothy Chalamet's gay ass picked Oregon.
Easy.
I'm just saying he was wearing a pink coat.
Yeah, I mean,
Real men wear pink, I guess. But Duke, well, no, I'm gonna have Richie start because I don't want Duke to influence Richie's opinion. So Richie,
so
what do you got
here's
on this
my
one?
bold take. I think Penn State is going to take it. I think they're going to shock the world tonight. The Northeast Ohio kid, Drew Aller from Medina, he's going to have 225 yards tonight. And the former Buckeye, Julian Fleming, will catch at least a touchdown pass tonight.
Ooh,
And I think the two tailbacks,
Singletary, yeah.
Singletary and Katron Allen.
Yep.
I think those are their X factors tonight. I think they're gonna.
So
they're
you're
gonna
telling-
shock, they're going to shock Oregon. Tonight.
You're telling me Julian Fleming, former
Buckeye,
5-star,
Former
former Buckeye, is going to win a Big Ten championship, not at Ohio State.
correct.
Okay.
It's the hill
All
I'm
right.
going to die on tonight, just like Chris Drew would always say. Shout out, Chris Drew.
Shout out Chris Drew. Duke.
With all things being equal here, we've seen what Dan Landing has done this year. We've seen what James Franklin has done this year. And to tell you the truth, neither one of these guys have won a big game. So somebody has got to win the big one.
Whoa.
What do
Did you say neither one of them won a big game?
Neither one of them have.
So Ohio State's not a big game. Because Dan Lanning won a big game against Ohio State. Is that not a big game?
It's a big regular season game. What I'm saying is that Dan Lanning got all the way here last year and he lost twice to
Washington.
Kalen DeBoer when he was a huge favorite, especially in the championship game. So
To a future top 10 pick in Michael Penix.
that how many passing yards does he has in the NFL this year?
I don't know. The national championship winning quarterback has 0 as well.
So with all things being equal here, they lost twice to Washington.
They did.
So does James Franklin put it together? Can Drew Aller give them the game that he needs to? I think Dan Lanning's got something for him. Give me quack, quack, quack.
Boo.
The Ducks. Give me the Ducks. It is Dylan Gabriel's season. It is Dan Landing time. This is
Can you
where
say that name one more time?
Dylan Gabriel.
No, the other one.
Dan Landing.
No, it's Lanning.
Lanning, whatever.
Can you say Tupperware for me?
Be quiet. We are here. We are going to see the Oregon Ducks take the next step into the next step for Dan's career.
Yeah.
This is young Urban Meyer.
Some might call him that, yeah.
Reincarnated. Shout out Chris Drew.
God, he's getting so many shout outs today.
It's to the point where Dan's gonna be thought of in the Kirby Smart realm. They're killing the recruiting trail. Dan Lanning is doing everything right. It is his time to put James Franklin out to pasture. Penn State's still going to make the playoffs, but I don't see it. Give me the Ducks big tonight.
Big.
Whoa.
Big. All right.
So if Penn State wins tonight, are they technically the number one seed since they only have one loss?
I would say yes. But here's the other thing that we want to talk about. The Pac-12 comes in, kicks in the door, and wins the Big Ten
So
in
does
their
the Big
first
12.
year. In the first year.
Same with the Big 12 and the SEC.
Well, Texas is there, but we all know how this story is. There's no water bottles to be thrown tonight to influence the officials.
You know what? I'm switching my pick. Let's go. Horns up, baby. Let's go, Texas. Just because Duke's over here. Yeah, you picked Texas.
I can't remember my picks.
But back to Oregon Penn State, not to get back into the SEC conversation because we could go for days. Apparently, Duke, huge SEC fan. But I think
Gators.
go Gators. God, dude. Only you could make me, of all people, root against the Gators. But Oregon Penn State, I agree with what both of you said. I think this is a awesome matchup. Dan Lanning obviously has everything in front of him, right? He's put together a perfect season.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be, or could be, the feather in his cap, right? He wins the Big Ten his first year in, goes undefeated, beats Ohio State, beats Penn State, wins it, and goes in as the number 1 seed. However, on the other side, you have Penn State, a team that has been fighting to be in this position for damn near every – what is that? Okay, just cool. Don't care. Sorry, we're having trouble on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, we haven't reset the show. If you're on Twitter, apparently there's some trouble with the streaming on Twitter. Come over to YouTube, like and subscribe, hit the buttons, all that, like the show. But Penn State has been fighting for this opportunity for the better part of a decade. And I think this is James Franklin's opportunity. Because what have we all said about James Franklin?
James Franklin's it up. He can't win the big one.
Can't win the big game, but more importantly, he can't beat 2 teams specifically, Ohio State and Michigan,
yep.
Right? Well, here's an opportunity for you to go win the Big Ten against a school not named Ohio State, not named Michigan, and to have and to get the number 1 seed. I mean, I think if James Franklin goes out and gets this done, give him a lifetime contract. This guy has been through it. He's obviously not been successful to the point that people think he should have been, but he's been damn near as successful as you can expect out of a Penn State coach. And so I think the difference in this game is the running backs. And I like Oregon's running back, don't get me wrong, but they don't have a duo like Singletary and Allen. And I think Penn State comes out, they establish the run. They do something that Ohio State refused to do. They establish the run, and Penn State's defense is legit.
Abdul Carter off the edge. I mean,
it's going to be the best defensive front this Oregon team has faced, and I say that with no hesitation.
Better than Ohio State?
Better than Ohio State. Mm-hmm. Abdul Carter makes JTT look like a bitch.
Well, I think Jack Sawyer's pretty good.
Jack Sawyer's good, but I'm sorry. I love Jack Sawyer. Let me start with that. I love Jack Sawyer. I love what he did in the Michigan game, and I wish they would have just let him fuck up every Michigan player on the field. But Jack Sawyer he's a good player. Is he a top 10 pick in the NFL draft?
It depends upon the scheme.
No. The answer is no. He's not.
Abdul Carter is.
Abdul Carter has a chance to be the best edge rusher in this class.
But the only thing on the draft side of it that I'll push back on, I don't think there was – I think it was, 15 to the Colts when they got their second pick? It was 12 or 15. There was no defensive players selected in the top 10 picks. So –
that doesn't mean that he's not a top 10 player. Just because NFL teams are stupid doesn't. I mean,
I'm just saying.
But regardless, Abdul Carter is the first defensive end off the board.
Yeah, he's gone.
Ahead of Jack Sawyer, ahead of JGT, ahead of everybody else in the country. And I think Drew Aller has an opportunity to really make a statement and set himself up for what I think is a great senior season next year. He has all the skills. He went into the Ohio State game and he looked good. He didn't look great. But he's got all the skills. He's got a live arm. The guy can chuck it a mile. He has some accuracy issues that he's dealt with. But at the end of the day, I think this comes down to the running game and the defense. And I like Penn State's running game, and I like Penn State's defense more than I like Oregon's. And I think that's going to be the difference in the game. And quote me on it. I'm telling you right now, Penn State wins this one close. It's going to be close, but I think Penn State wins it, and Penn State's going to be your number 1 seed in the college football playoff. Because I already picked the dogs. So Texas is out. And we could have a conversation about that. If Texas doesn't win the conference championship, should they even be in the playoff?
Based upon resume, I think that there's teams that are not in that have better resumes.
Thank you. I'm just saying.
Texas's resume is not that good because one of their signature wins is a key loss for another team. It's, but, we can do this whole resume thing when we can go back and forth all day. But I'm just saying Texas has a quarterback problem. I've been saying it for the last however many weeks. And I think tonight not tonight, but this evening, it rears its head big time.
Do you think that Quinn Ewers should get on Snapchat?
I think he should make another kombucha deal.
I think that if I'm Quinn Ewers, I think if I come out flat, I'm going to be the old Bob Knight thing, bench to ass is what's going to happen to Quinn Ewers if they come out flat.
I promise you.
Shout out Orville, Ohio, Bob Knight.
Yeah, Bob Knight, what's up? R.I.P. But I think there's no chance they bench him for Arch. I got to be honest with you. There's no chance. Now, I do think an interesting topic. We're about at an hour, so we'll finish this up so everybody can enjoy the games and everything like that. But I do think an interesting topic. Quinn Ewers is not a first round draft pick, right?
Correct.
He's
this
year. So you know what is Monday, right?
Transfer portal season. Yeah, transfer portal opens on Monday. That's where I'm going. Does Quinn Ewers enter the transfer portal?
If his ass is on the bench, he will.
No, he stays.
He stays? If he stays, does Arch Manning enter the transfer portal?
Arch Manning, transfer portal, Ole Miss. Book it.
Ooh, Ole Miss. Oh, I like that with the Manning connection. Yeah, okay. I like that. Duke?
Because you're going to need a quarterback.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. That's a good call, Rich. I like that a lot. Duke, what do you think? Arch in the transfer portal?
Arch Manning in the transfer portal. Where would Arch Manning go?
No, I'm asking if he goes in the transfer portal first.
Oh, if Arch goes in the transfer portal?
No, does he? Does he go?
Does he go?
Yeah.
I think that's why I think that the Quinn Ewers is more likely to leave because they have a lot invested in Arch.
Yeah.
And
okay.
If Quinn doesn't declare for the draft, they both don't come back.
Well, yeah, one of them has to leave, right?
One of them has to go.
And it's going to be hard for Sark to make that decision because Arch is unproven. He's shown flashes, but he hasn't played.
But he's still a sophomore, though.
Yeah, but he's not going to sit another year.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So do you push a guy out, aka Dylan Gabriel, for his backup and potentially push out the next Heisman Trophy winner and get stuck with Jackson Arnold, aka Arch Manning?
I'm not going to go that far, but
I don't think it's that far. I don't think it's that out of the question. I think Arch is better than Jackson Arnold. Don't get me wrong, but
I think there was glaring issues at Oklahoma with the OC because as soon as they fire the OC, they start scoring points.
Yeah,
that's whether it was a Jackson Arnold thing, and I think the new OC that they brought in from Washington State, he hit the portal. I don't think that's by any coincidence at all.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so Arch Manning goes in the portal Monday. Where is he going?
That's a good question because I don't know if he goes to Ole Miss. Because the Simmons kid,
Mm-hmm.
the Simmons kid is going to be a stud next year, I think.
I have my opinion, but I want you to pick a school before I say it.
I think if I'm Arch Manning, I think if I'm in the transfer portal, I think I pick up the phone at least inquire about the starting position at Ohio State.
That's what I'm saying. Arch Manning to the Buckeyes. Put it on the board. It's happening.
I don't know. I think Lane's.
Go ahead.
I think Lane's good. I think as long as Ryan gets it figured out.
Yeah. I have another one for you, and hear me out before you discount it.
Oh, I think it's on your chest.
It's on my chest.
I don't disagree.
Possibility.
Because I think Arch Manning's skill set fits very nicely into Mike Denbrock's offense. And Mike Denbrock, the last time he had a player as dynamic as Arch Manning, won a Heisman Trophy. And I think that's the pitch. Hey, you're white Jaden Daniels. Get on over here, Arch. And could you see Arch Manning? I mean, the Manning name in South Bend, Indiana? Whew, the money you could make.
Sell some tickets.
Exactly. The money you could make. I'm telling you, he would get an Under Armour deal or Adidas deal or he would have deals out the wazoo. And he'd be selling cars. He'd be selling protein shakes so you can hit up Brady Quinn, get with EAS or whatever. I mean.
Well, you got all the opportunities in Chicago and in Indianapolis.
I'm saying.
So you never know, and you never know what's going to happen because this is the new landscape of college football, and teams are going to be able to have the availability to pay because of the rev share thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, that's coming into effect. We've been one of the very few programs talking about this. You're going to have schools that spend the $20 million. You're going to have schools that spend half the $20 million. And then you're going to have schools that spend $40 million. So if you think that it's not going to create a gap, it's going to. Because there's going to be some schools out there that see that $20 million and say, we spent $20 million. We should win.
Yeah. But that's not enough. You're going to have to spend $20 million on top of $20 million.
Because I would say there'd be a couple programs in the Big Ten, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, are going to spend over.
Oregon
are going to spend over.
USC should. I don't know if they will, but they damn should.
USC is they're in a bad spot right now.
Real bad spot.
The best thing that could happen to USC, in my opinion, is Lincoln Riley decides to fold up shop and go somewhere.
Chicago.
The Bears. But I think, all right, we'll end with this thought because we're talking about transfer portal and we're talking about Texas. On the flip side of that, if Arch Manning doesn't enter, right, and they tell Quinn, hey, you had a good run. You were supposed to leave after this year. I don't know what the fuck you did, but you didn't do good enough to leave, so you're going to have to leave anyways. Where does Quinn go?
I think that Quinn at least picks up the phone and maybe calls Ryan.
I think that's his first phone call.
I think it's his first phone call too.
And if you're Ryan Day, if you're Ohio State, do you entertain it?
I would. I also think that there's another program out there that could offer ample money that doesn't have a quarterback in the USC Trojans. And Lincoln Riley's been good he's got two Heisman winners. So
three.
He's got three. And there's only a handful of people that have three. I think there's two or three that have three Heisman trophies. So I think that is a distinct possibility.
Yeah, I like USC for him. I think his first call is to Ryan Day. Now, if you're Ryan Day,
you have a delicate situation.
Yeah, I mean, because you're gonna blow up that room if you bring Quinn Ewers in.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking Julian Sainz leaving, Aaron Nolan's leaving, Devin Brown's leaving. You'll keep Tavian, but you're gonna lose a whole lot if you bring him in. Is it worth it?
The upside on Tavian St. Clair for Quinn Ewers for 1 year.
Well, you're not losing Tavian. I'm talking Julian Sainz, probably the first one leaving.
Well,
yeah, exactly.
Because time will tell. Monday's going to be interesting. I think in And on another note, the coaching carousel is going to be heated up and it's going to be spinning on Monday morning. So at about 6 a.m., it's going to be flying. You're going to have the Hayes Fawcett is going to be very busy on 3. Thamel.
Hayes Fawcett.
All those guys are going to be very busy on Monday. So
he's going to be after making those graphics. Double, he's going to be.
He's going to be working
Midnight
double
oil.
time. Yeah, I mean, he's going to be working hard, making all those graphics.
And with that, I ain't got nothing else.
Okay. All right. Well, before we finish up, I want to thank everybody and huge shout out Sigaro Lounge up here in Hubbard, Ohio. This has been awesome. Hanging out up in the members area, watching some football, hanging out with you guys. Thank you to everybody that tuned in, everybody out there. Go ahead and smash that like and subscribe button. Give us a follow. Hit the bell notification so you get notified when we go live. Everything like that. I mean, this has been a blast, guys.
It's been great. And shout out to Steve and everybody for letting us come and do this. And also, I guess, email the show email if you want to win the statue.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I forgot about that. We do have a 3D printed statue right here to give away. We're going to do it. I haven't decided exactly how, but just shoot us an email or DM me on Twitter or something like that. Obviously the Mount Rushmore of Ohio State football here. You got Woody, you got Tressel, you got Urban, and Archie on there. So yeah, absolutely. We'll give this away to anybody that follows us and emails us or whatever. We'll figure it out, but just shoot it in here and we'll announce it on maybe Monday's show or something like that. But anybody that wants it, shoot me a DM and we'll figure out a way to give it away. Here's how we'll give it away. If you can tell me who Richie picked in the Texas-Georgia game, you win. That's it.
I think that's fair enough.
Yeah, that's it. So thank you again for tuning in, everybody out there. Have a great rest of your Saturday. Enjoy the championship Saturday, college football Saturday. It's one of the last ones you're going to get this year, so enjoy it.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thanks for watching.